And journalist Lara Arogundade joins us live via Skype now to share his thoughts on the incidents. Good morning to you, Lara. First off, your initial thought when you heard of the attack on journalists in that state.
Well, I was shocked when I heard of the attack because I knew that this problem of soldiers versus members of IPOB. But the NUJ Secretariat, the Secretariat of the Nigerian Union of Journalists, is certainly not the headquarters of IPOB. It's not the headquarters of any organization that the military might have some problems with. So there was really no basis for such an invasion. As you know, NUJ press centers are normally properly, designated, with big signposts. And one of the army spokespersons actually said that they had worked with journalists in that state. So the press center or the NUJ Secretariat in Abia State is not unknown to the military authorities. So one really was shocked about this incident, and of course it's highly condemnable.
Yeah, and judging from the contradictory information we're getting from the incident so far, one would wonder what the soldiers' aim were really for destroying gadgets belonging to journalists. Were they afraid of video evidence that could be used against them in any way?
Well, I mean, one just have to, speculate at this point in time. And I think it's for the military authorities to carry out a proper investigation, as they have promised to do, and let us know the reasons why, these few elements within the army decided to attack the journalists. But from the reports from our colleagues in the state, it's quite clear that they suspected that their photographs were being taken. And on that basis, they invaded the center, because that was why they were destroying cell phones, destroying, cameras. And the truth of the matter, and we've said it again and again, is that we're in a civilian dispensation. And the military is subordinate to civilian authorities. If the military is carrying out an action in other places, military do carry journalists along. They could inform them ahead that we're having this particular, type of operation. In fact, invite journalists to cover them, which actually they need in the circumstance, because there's a whole lot of controversy around what exactly is happening in Abia State. But like I said, even if the journalists are taking the photographs, it was not enough reason for them to invade the center and begin to assault them, because it is the duty of journalists to report whatever it is happening. Section 22 gives us the responsibility to monitor, governance, to monitor the government and make them accountable to the people. The action that the military is carrying out in Abia State is public knowledge. They have declared Operation Python dance. So nothing they are doing could be said to be secret any longer that journalists who are interested will not be able to cover. But the point we are making at this point in time is that let this Python dance be limited to targets that the military consider threats, not journalists.
Indeed, and journalists, of course, and media people at large are members of the fourth estate of the realm. So,
yes, and I need to quickly add that it's becoming a recurring, decimal. Don't forget that the other time when the Charlie Boy group were having this protest in Abuja, a journalist, Ahmadin, was also attacked when, soldiers or policemen came around. So we're quite worried that this is like becoming a pattern, that each time the military or the police authorities have some problem with some groups of people, journalists who are carrying out their legitimate duty are normally subjected to attack. This is not acceptable. It's a violation of press freedom. It's a violation of freedom of expression. And it's a violation of the rights of Nigerian citizens to know what is happening around them.
Yes, I was about to say that really, and not just that attack. Journalists were attacked in Kaduna as well when Senator Shehu Sani, and then in Lagos as well when some of them were covering an event against the government of Akwa Ibom State on the government's plan to build another government's house in Lagos. But that aside, what are the implications really for any society where the security operatives see journalists as a threat?
Well, the implication is that such a society will not be considered free. Such a society will come under the watchful eyes of international watchdog agencies. And one will not be surprised if by the time, Human Rights Watch, Committee to Protect Journalists, International Federation of Journalists are reporting their annual reports, and they are now, listing Nigeria as one of the countries where you have worst cases of violation of human rights, violation of press freedom. So the government and the military authorities must know that these incidents have a lot of implications for the image of the country, for the rating of the country when it comes to human rights and fundamental rights issues, and in fact, for the image of the country when it comes to the whole issue of freedom of expression and the right of the citizens to know. So I do hope that they are going to take this into consideration. In this particular incident, it's quite welcome that the army authorities have quickly apologized. But for me, the real issue is, how do you stop this? They need to really educate and enlighten their members on the need to exercise caution when they are relating to journalists. The army has, they have spokespersons, they have people who are designated to liaise with the media. So even where individual soldiers or officers have, complained or may have complained against journalists, they could at least refer them to their directors of information for them, to liaise with, the journalists. And the good thing also is that the journalists also have bodies and associations that represent them. We have the Nigerian Union of Journalists, we have the Nigerian Guild of Editors, we even have proprietors associations, the Newspaper Proprietors Association of Nigeria, the Broadcasters Organization of Nigeria. All these are legitimate institutions to which complaints or grievances could be referred, and then they could be resolved amicably. This use of brute force against journalists, like I said, would have implication, and nobody should complain if tomorrow, like I said, international agencies begin to give Nigeria bad ratings when it comes to human rights and respect of press freedom.
Lara Arogundade, journalist, thank you for your analysis on the attack on journalists in Abia by military officials.
Thank you very much.